Sprint 5. How many customers can you get? At this point, you should feel confident that your idea will make some group of people happy. But that doesn't mean that enough of them will gladly pay you to create a self-sustaining business or nonprofit. This sprint coaches you how to think through how many customers you can reasonably expect to capture, while the next sprint leads you through how much they might pay. To figure out how many customers you might get, we take you through several steps. You will need to reason through how potential customers will find you and decide they love what you're doing so much they want to be your customer and not your competitors. Many great ideas fail because founders forget that they need to go out and thoughtfully solicit customers. This is a critical risk reduction exercise. To help you with that, we created the article, How Many Customers Can You Get? It'll help you think through finding potential customers and how to entice them to be actual customers. How Many Customers Can You Get? Written and read by Derek Liedau.
The answer to the big question of how many customers starts by figuring out the answer to several subsidiary questions. The first question is how many people match your target persona in the places you plan to offer your product or service. Be realistic in assuming that initially you will only be offering your product or service in very few places and perhaps only in a small geography. How many people or businesses or institutions do you estimate match the description of your persona? Where and how will you target the persona, and how will they find you? You might have a great product or service, but unless potential customers can find out about you, then they'll never be your customer. Where do you expect your target persona will find your product or service for the first time? Do you plan to rent a store in a mall with lots of foot traffic? Will it be through online ads that bring your target personas to your website? Or will you rent a booth at a convention where your target customers congregate? Will it be at a special event with a special invite list? Or will you pay celebrities to mention to you to send people to your Instagram? Or will you pass out flyers at the beach? Where do you plan to find your first personas to interest them in your product? How many of your target persona do you expect to intersect with at this target location? Have you estimated this number? Guessing won't work. You need to make your estimate based upon some very relevant experience, like from somebody who works in the industry, or by hanging out in the mall where you'll offer your product and count people who enter a similar store. Whatever your ideas are, it is straightforward to test them out by hanging out where and when you think your persona will be when they will need your product or service and physically counting them. If you're not sure someone fits your persona, then ask them. After all, with sprints 3 and 4 under your belt, you know now how to engage a stranger in a conversation. If you're not sure the person fits your persona, do not count them. Note how the number of potential customers changes with time, and maybe even the season. If your business will be online, then it does not cost much to run an actual online ad and see how many people click on it. For businesses, there are directories that are available at the library that list all or most of the enterprises in various markets. So you should be able to get a decent count of how many of these businesses match your target segment. How will you entice them to try your product or service? Next question. If you know where and when you will find lots of potential customers that match the profile of your target persona, then you need to figure out how you will pique their curiosity in your product or service to even stop and notice it. Will it be distinctive packaging on a shelf in a store? Or you looking dapper and charismatic, giving a very quick pitch to people you hand flyers to? Or the fact that the ad you place has a compelling design that gets people to click on the freemium offer? How many of the personas that pass by or look at your ad will actually stop and look or click through? By stopping and noticing or clicking on an ad and landing on your site, It's still not nearly enough. You must figure out how you would entice the potential customer to spend enough time with your product or service to fall in love with it. Free samples and freemiums are classic ways to get potential customers to fully experience a product or service. There are also virtual ways, such as by watching others play and enjoy the product, which gives a sense of the excitement and joy of its use. Testimonials of actual users sometimes can work if the person giving the testimonial is relatable and is convincing. Making the product or service super simple and intuitive to use will entice a few curious potential customers to try it. If you can make a potential customer feel as if they discovered your product or service by making the act of getting there fun and mysterious, but not hard or long in duration, then that can entice them to try it too. You could get them to think, look at what I found, let's see if it works. But you need to be really good to pull off what's called a reveal strategy. You can try out your enticement ideas as experiments. You can even offer or give away competitors' products that are not as good as yours and see how many of the potential customers actually accept the inferior offer. Act out small portions of the service you plan to offer and see how long and seriously that engages potential customers. With some simple experiments, you can get a sense of how many of the potential customers you can get in front of that you can actually instill enough curiosity to try out the product or service you plan to offer. How do you plan to make them very happy with their first encounters with you? Here is the next step, because capturing the attention of potential customer is still not enough. The first experience with a product or service needs to create enough positive emotions, in other words, happiness, to be forever remembered in some form. You want this first encounter to be recalled anytime the product or service is used or enjoyed. Personalized attention and beautiful presentations are examples. Think of the boxes containing Apple products being hand-delivered to you at an Apple store. Featuring something surprising about your product or service when it's first used is often super successful. It doesn't need to be big, just pleasantly surprising. Little details make a big difference. Estimating the number of customers. The hindsight that you gain from thinking through these 4 questions, you have enough information to make an estimate. Start with the estimate of the number of people that fit your target persona. You know now how many of them you can intersect at specific times and places. 3, you can estimate how many of the personas that you intersect you can get to spend enough time with your product or service to understand it. And 4, you have a sense of things you can do to get some decent percentage of the people that get to know your product or service to fall in love with it. How many is that? This is an important number to know. To get a more accurate estimate, you'll need to go through these steps again with an actual prototype once you start investing actual money and resources, experimenting how to make your idea a reality. As you move forward, it will be important to design your prototype so it incorporates and enables as many of these enticement strategies as you have developed. Crucial next steps. You are now at a point in your journey where you should feel optimistic that you understand strategies you can use to entice plenty of initial customers. If you do not feel confident, then you need to keep on thinking and bring in some creative people you know to help you improve your idea to make it more attractive to a larger percentage of your target persona. Or you might need to target a different persona with an even more enticing product. If and when you do have confidence in being able to entice a large percentage of your target persona, there's one final step to complete to have all the information you need to validate your idea as realistic and to get others excited about it to help you. You need to figure out how much these potential customers will be willing to pay you. which is what we challenge you with doing in Sprint 6.
Sprint exercise. Now that you've listened to or read our article, How Many Customers Can You Get?, we help you think through finding potential customers and how to entice them to become actual customers. By the end of the sprint, we want you to be able to confidently answer these questions. How will potential customers find you? How will you entice them to try your product or service? And how do you plan to make them happy enough with these experiences and with trying your product or service that they become your loyal customer? We also want you to think about how happy are you with these plans? And what do you need to feel even more confident with these plans?